been involved in aviation since I was probably about 11 years old, so about 10 years now. My grandfather was a commercial flight instructor back in Japan. So at 11, he started getting me involved in just flight simulators, like the basic video games, that sort of stuff. And it just progressed from there. I just fell in love with aviation right away. And at 14, I went to an actual formal flight school, began taking actual flight lessons. When I turned 17, I took the exam and got my private pilot's license. I've been flying very regularly ever since then. Use the change because the way these aircraft are designed, if a gust of wind comes up, it'll actually pick up the aircraft here. For the volume, you have an independent one each ear. Aviation is definitely a big part of who I am and my family. My grandfather, as I mentioned earlier, was a commercial flight instructor. I'm the only other person in the family, grandkid or one of his own kids, extended family, that took an interest in aviation and stuck with it. And because I'm able to fly so much and visit him regularly, I can see every time I visit him, he just lights up, and he remembers the thousands of hours he flew himself. And he also knows that one of his grandchildren is going to continue the flying, hopefully for the rest of my life as well, and continue passing it on to my kids and grandkids. I've flown from Santa Monica Airport here in Los Angeles all the way to the Bahamas. So I flew all across the South. I've been all over the South, much of the Southeast. I've flown to Mexico about 50 times now, up and down the Baja Strip. So between all those different trips I've done, I'd say I've come pretty close to about 100 different airports. And there's nothing more empowering than knowing that you've flown from one side of the country to the other, being able to see everything in between California to Florida, and just how, for one thing, is how big this country actually is. Just flying a commercial jet, you do not get a real good sense of just how beautiful and large this country is. Taxi Southeast Sunbury via Bravo, system 19896. Trying to be a full-time student as well as a pilot, trying to stay active, is a very difficult thing to balance. Both are equally demanding, both require a lot of time and dedication. I mean, you have to spend as much time in the library studying for classes as you do staying active with the flying, staying up to date on the new regulations, new airspace rules, so on and so forth. And I mean, a lot of the things I've learned in flight school have actually helped me, I'd say, a lot in classes in college. Being an IDS major and being a pilot kind of goes hand in hand, mainly because when I'm flying internationally, so when I've gone to the Bahamas or I've flown into Mexico, you get to see the actual progress of development from the sky. When I first started flying to Mexico, I was about 14 or 15 years old, and the little town I went to, the little farming community, you just see a handful of greenhouses, a few small shacks that were the workers' homes, and the airstrip, just a dirt runway, nothing else. In the last 5 or 6 years that I've been flying to Mexico for an international organization I work with, I've been actually able to physically see the town explode and just all the economic development the federal government has put into the area, and just seeing how it's actually expanded. So it's nice if you got a pilot, it's nice if you got a guy who knows development studies. When you combine them together, it saves a seat on the aircraft, and you can send a guy who can also help the community while also doing all the flying and actually getting to the towns and villages that need the help. When I'm in the aircraft and when I'm flying, that's actually the most calming time for me. One thing I'll do is during finals week or when I'm stressed out from midterms or jobs or class or whatever, I'll just go around to the airport, get in the airplane, fly for a half hour, an hour, something like that, just by myself, or maybe bring a friend. Because when you're in an aircraft and you're flying, you're 3,000 feet above your problems. You're 3,000 feet above the stress and the anxiety and the fatigue and everything else. So it's definitely helped me to keep up with everything during my college career, and hopefully helps me keep up with everything from the rest of my career, for that matter.